do. One roasted from the Father of creation. Yeah,
All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:32. It is July 16th. It is summertime. I'm feeling a little bit better yesterday. Woo. Drove all the way from Long Island after the Prez golf outing. I was feeling it. But guess what? Got up, got to the office, took care of business, and yesterday was actually a great day. Hopefully you guys doing really well if you've been watching the 6:30 Club, which is what we've been doing here since 2020. I got to believe you have to be having some success near the highs of your year. We've had so many money trades in the last 3 weeks, all different types of trades. So it's been great. But, what you have to do is be set up for it. You have to be prepared. You have to have your routine. You have to be thinking straight. That is why, besides being the chief strategic officer of T3 Live, I am the founder of Red Dog Mindset, where we try and do a 20-5-20 in the morning. If you watch the 20-5-20 today, first day back in the sauna, doing a little 20-minute workout, where we try and think clearly, get our mind right, get situated for the day. Conrad's back. Now here we are going over the X's and O's. I will say yesterday was an interesting day. They gapped them up on the NVIDIA news. CPI came out, a lot of debate about how hot it was. I think it was just an excuse to take some money off the table. I know for me, I don't want to get caught with 20 plus positions, if we're going to get a little bit of a summer pullback, which might or might not happen. But as of yesterday's action, there's a small little signal that maybe the active bears could take the bull back for a little bit. Why do I say that? Well, if you look right here, it's not the end of the world, but look at this, pretty big, ugly candle. This, it opened up above 626.87. So again, I list my sell rules all the time. You guys should print them out. They're on the public Twitter. Sell some strength. If you have a lot of longs, I had 15 longs. So while the futures were up and the SPYs are up 2.5 points, you're trimming booking gains into some strength. And then in order for this to have made traction out of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7-day consolidation, what should it have done? It should have held 626.87, which is the peak from right here, but it didn't. So right there, I told you it's not strong enough to hold it. And then it didn't hold this prior high, closed in the lows. But you know what? Overall, still above the 8-day, which it's been above for like almost 3 weeks, and still above the 21-day, which if you look, we've been up above the 21-day since April 24th. So since April 24th, we've been above the 8 and 21-day. So that's what we call an active sequence that is to be proud of, especially if you've been massaging all different types of longs the entire time. So anyway, I use a tier system. I reduced into that. I'm still net long. I'm just net long less. Another kind of even a little bit more of a signal. You look at the IWM that had a pretty sizable move. This kind of said to anyone in the IWM, you know what? It has to prove that it could do something anymore because, you have your high 226, right? And then what did it do? It opened up above, 223, couldn't hold it. So you could have been a seller into strength, a seller when it didn't hold this. And then really it broke below this. So look at the size of this bearish candle. That means this is what I call a day to take notice that maybe the active bears have control again of this. Maybe, the active bulls kind of took this back here. Remember this huge day that held the upper half of it before going. So if we try and bounce and if we stay below 221, this could turn into an H cell setup, and that could be the end of this small cap rally. Could. If all of a sudden we go sideways in a rebuild, we've seen that before too, then maybe all it needed was time. So, but, I'm not in the IWM. I also got out of the XBI yesterday because very similar. Made a lot of money in the XBI being a surgeon. You had to be a surgeon in a sector like this. We were buying it in here for a move through 86. It only went to 88.61, but still there was a lot of money there. Options went from like 40 cents, 60 cents to like $1.10, $1.40. And then yesterday got rejected, broke below a prior low, lost the 8-day, but it still, listen, it still has the benefit of the doubt, right? It's been holding this entire time. There's been a bunch of days like this. So, but to me, I just take a little closer notice. So if you remember yesterday, NVIDIA gapped up on the news that they could sell one of their chips in China. You guys have no idea. That's so funny. Anyway, we had so many great money moves here. At this point, I'm just taking a kind of a step back from it because this was your time to get super duper duper focused. This is when I remember that news came out midday, took out 115. Then I remember in here we were on with stock spaces. I was buying a ton of 149s, 150s, held the 8-day, all the market came to the 21-day, got above big resistance, and then it went all the way up, where you could have bought the 8-day to a doji high on exciting news. So sometimes that's sellable. They sold it a little bit yesterday. You couldn't buy NVIDIA yesterday after all this stuff and make money. So now the question is, what's next in NVIDIA? Probably important for, the chips. At this point, you have a gap here, 169.19. Where's NVIDIA right now? NVIDIA is above it. So at this point, NVIDIA is just fine. The question is, how long does it need to digest above this? Or does it want to fill the gap? It's extended from the 8-day. So this right now is not a money trade. You've had your money trades. Now it's a, massage it and see if it dictates the trade a little bit. I made a lot of money in SMCI yesterday. I haven't traded this that much. I actually liked it, in here, and I was buying the $52 calls for this Friday. So that news of NVIDIA paid me, and I rolled them up into calls for next week. So it'd be nice to see if this could hold this spot, So anyway, SMCI is acting better. You had this inverted head and shoulders pattern that gave you a nice move to 66. It kind of just rebuilt, and we'll see. If I'm not in the stock itself, it's only down 28 cents. It's not a big deal, but maybe this goes red to green. If this goes red to green, it can keep that, the setup. We look for setups intact. Anyway, I'm not looking much at other semis. I just, not that necessary. In mega cap tech land, earnings are going to start coming out soon. I think Netflix is tomorrow. Netflix just got tight again. It's interesting. I don't have any Netflix on. Netflix is always on my go-to list. I do all the technicals for the Alpha team and everybody. It'll be interesting. It's come a long way. Earnings are when? Earnings are the 17th. Today's the 16th. So tomorrow. We'll see. Lately, to be honest, the last few earnings seasons, I've tried to do option plays thinking that there's a good setup. You're going to make 4x, 5x, 6x. I've been making 2x's and 3x's on options without earnings and without the crazy inflated, premiums. But anyway, if you were looking, then you thought, hey, I think this is going to 1,500. It's got to get through 1340 first. So I don't know. I feel like if you had to do a call spread, you could do like a 1,300 by 1,350 if you think it's taken out 1,340, or just trade it after. I'm not going to have any options on in Netflix, but it'll be important how we respond to it for other high beta tech. As of right now, I'm still playing Google. Google's been great. It's not a barn burner, but if you've been buying into areas, it's been giving you some nice rewards. Remember, we were buying it here, and it went to 181, and then we bought it again. Actually, in the hole here, it looks like it's on its way to 188. At some point, maybe it has a big day, but it just hasn't. It's been fine, though. It's fine. It's Google. It's been fine. Amazon's been pretty good. It's just kind of trending higher. Hasn't been a sexy trade. You haven't been able to buy high and sell higher. You've had to, buy options a little bit higher, and then when it works, sell some and roll it, and we'll see how that continues. I'm still in Amazon stock. Some are like, hey, Red Dog, isn't this like a rising wedge, or something like that where it could break to the downside? I guess. But again, it's been riding it for a while now. So until it breaks, I would stay with it. I think Amazon, could take out this 242 this year. Still, it's just a matter of, how it happens. Meta's been not great, but yesterday it closed on the lows, and now today it's up 3. I've been just kind of avoiding it. We had a really good trade in Meta right around here. That was a nice one. And then again, remember I was buying options into that. I have nothing on with Meta right now. I'm waiting. I did buy a little Apple yesterday when it looked better. Just some options. I'm not in the stock. For next week. Is it next week or this week? I think next Friday. Just thinking maybe it goes again. Not really a hyper focus. I was buying options in here. I added the stock. We made a double and triple in this move, and now it's consolidating again. Not great. I'm just trying to find things to do that are kind of responsible that could work. Yesterday, I will say I bought a lot of Bitcoin back. I was focusing on a July 4th crypto holiday, and it came a few days late. If you look here at the IBIT, made some sense, right? It made sense to sell into strength. I was buying $62 calls in here and went to 69. It was a fantastic move. Hopefully you guys caught some with me. I got down to like 10% into here, and I started nibbling a little bit back yesterday. So I didn't quite get to the 8-day. So at this point, we'll see if, you can almost make this gap is getting filled a little bit. So you can bring this down here. You can go to here and get rid of this. Here's your new point of reference. Bitcoin's up a bunch. I will probably be trimming a little bit into the strength and continue to manage the trade. It's up $1.30, up 2%. So this was nice. So if you sold 69 plus, you were able to buy in the low 66s and massage the trade. And Ethereum didn't even pull in yesterday. So Ethereum is filling this gap we spoke about and, acting very well, playing some catch up. So I still have Ethereum calls on, but I'm long IBIT. What I don't have left of, which I'm a little upset about, is this SBET. We talked about this filling that gap, which it did. I was long down here. Remember those $15 calls that we sold for 5X? Well, congratulations if you stayed with it. I have a bunch of friends that don't trade for a living. I told about this, and they're like, "Oh, Red Dog, you're the man." And I'm like, "What?" Like that SBET's above 30. I'm like, "You're still in it?" Yeah, why would we sell it? So funny, like the difference between like traders who take trades and massage positions to someone who just said, "Hey, I'll buy 2,000 shares at 15, and now it's at 30, and I just paid for his Montauk Yacht Club." Anyway, good for them. It's good to be friends with the Red Dog. Anyway, where is it right now? SBET is SBET up. Oh wow, 32.65. I would trim some, but just because you trim some, if you're still in it, doesn't mean it's an easy short. Same guy that has Lily, because he named his daughter Lily, almost 15 years ago, and it's up from 40, went to 700. Dumb luck. Anyway, with that being said, nice move there. I'm long ACHR. I was buying a lot of options in here for this to start to get going again. If you remember, it went to $14 last time. Then they raised money right around here. So should be, I would think, acting better. You can maybe make this a little bit higher now. But you got to take some trades too. I was buying options, I think at like 20, 30 cents, and I sold some at like 60 cents for a double. I'm still in it. RDW, I'm still in. But if you bought down here, what did it do? It got above a prior high, couldn't hold. You had to trim some. Massage positions. ASTS, you guys remember I said to you, into this down move, I was buying options. I'm like, I'm not sure. It might need to test, 39 and change or not. So you can't be perfect on a play like this. So PS, into this down move, I was buying $47 calls for next week, $50 calls, and I was able to sell those for, I don't even know, doubles or triples, and I'm still in the stock. If this, I don't know if it goes right through 54, but it's looking pretty solid, back above the moving averages. Nice pull in here, maybe a little sideways. I'm going to roll it out, and I'm going to take some $55 calls, maybe 3-4 weeks out. But what a great play. This is a pure example of why you need the right mindset. A lot of people got burnt out during this move. It looked great after a consolidation for like 6 months and then failed. And like, I'm never playing this again. I lost two, because maybe they didn't get out of the way here and they missed the real move. So that is why you need to know that if just because you traded a stock and it wasn't ready, you have to be able to go back to it. But anyway, we made a lot of money, and hopefully, right now I'm in some stock, and what's it doing this morning? It's down 10 cents or something, 20 cents. ASTS, it's down 6 cents. So it's looking great. So let's see what some of my dogs are saying around the world. Got 23 comments. Let's see. So you guys could talk to me on YouTube. You could talk to me on Twitter. And soon in the fall, you'll be able to talk to me on Discord, because just so you know, if you've been enjoying the 630 Club since 2020, it might be leaving Twitter in the fall. So if you want, subscribe above to Red Dog Mindset to be grandfathered in. Chances are, you could take one thing out of every day and it could have paid for your last decade. But anyway, it's Manny's asking about Palantir. Sam's asking about RDW. Hugs from Portugal. I love it. BBT, that was big. Yeah. Ethereum. Espetz's sister look for BNR. That's true. A lot of things. There's a lot of things going on everywhere. I haven't played Palantir recently because it was in rebuild mode, but a lot of guys did. And if you did, congratulations. I do play a lot of inflection points, and I have it on my note every day for all my people who like to play it. What a nice move. They came after it fast on that rebalance day, and then right here it rebuilt. This was your day to get back in. Now it's just manage the trade. Some people are like, hey, Red Dog, what about Dash? Dash is trying to hold the 21 day. We made a sick money in Dash from 144 to 248. Started getting a little sloppy. It went to 234.60. I'm not in it right now. It's like one of the few times in the last 6 to 8 months I am not in it. I kind of get out of it somewhere around here. So I don't know. If we get, I don't know, like right now it's kind of correcting a little bit before the market. If the market, I'm not saying it will, if the market wants to pull in a little bit in the next two to 4 weeks, I would think we could be buying this closer to 222, 223. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. All in all, you go to the weekly chart of Dash. What a fantastic move. So, this cup and handle pattern, which I started showing you guys at 144, saying my target was 225 to 257. Well, it's right in the middle. So let the 8-day catch up, let it go sideways. If it were to pull into here, I still think that this is going to be making higher highs in the next 6 months to 9 months. Anyway, BMNR is 9.1% by Peter Thiel. Wow. All right. That's why that one's up a lot. But anyway, that's Dash. Glad to be here this morning listening to an expert. All right. I'm just been consistent. What Joe Rapso says, Semi's still on the move. Yeah, they might take a day off because of ASML. All in all, the video is down a whole 30 cents. Not a big deal. Ethereum, wow. SBET. That was a great trade. Anyway, a lot of really good money trades. Thoughts on Baidu? All right, so Baidu, I feel like I got lucky. Why did I get lucky? Because I was buying Baidu calls on this day. So Baidu had this day one, okay, and I thought maybe I could buy some calls into this move for it to make a higher high. So I started buying calls that didn't look good to me. It shouldn't have came all the way down here, but I didn't sell them. They were only like 30 cents, and I added to them. So yesterday I made really good money in Baidu, but I sold 75% into that move. So with Asia being off a little bit and it being down a little bit, what I'll do is since I was able to sell into strength, maybe I'll buy a little bit back and trade around it. But if this is going to be any good now, it should hold 90-20. It should not get into that gap. Baidu tends to be, it hasn't worked the way some people think it should work, including me. But I will say, I never really get salvaged like that. But I wound up getting a nice salvage trade where I thought all of a sudden, I was cooked, and it didn't happen. Overall, the chart still looks. I think this is underloved and underappreciated. So, I would think it may be with the FXI getting better. By the way, what a call on the FXI by Red Dog. I was buying FXI calls in the wedge, not into strength. I was selling some yesterday into strength, so maybe I can even buy some back. So right in here, I was anticipating a move back towards this area. And what a nice 2 day. What about a nice move? So now what? It's down a little bit because Asia's taking a little bit of a breather. It deserves it. So now see if the FXI can hold this to continue. Plus, from the Redler report that I put out in December, the FXI has been in accumulate, and accumulate to outperform. And so far, so good. If you accumulate this from January, and I still think there's another move here. Look at the weekly chart. The weekly chart looks even better, I think. Yeah, the weekly chart. You can move this up here. Looks like why can't this get to here on the weekly chart? So, maybe FXI has a move to 45-ish or so. And then it's still nowhere. If you look at Asia, well, it still hasn't even been where it was in 2018. So anyway, there's lots of different types of trades out there. Rare earth, yeah, the rare earths have been really good. Some of my guys have been in MP. Wow, what a move. Jeez. I haven't been, unfortunately, but there are people on the Alpha team that have been riding this thing so well. Congratulations to you. On the daily, looks even crazier. But anyway, a lot of different things going on there. Mario says Pony. Okay, Pony. I haven't heard that name in a while. What's Pony doing? Pony AI. Yeah, looks like it's setting up a little bit here. Mario, what do you like about it's what it came out in? Here's the daily. Yeah, that's interesting. Pony AI right now is on the move. I like it. So we'll see. Maybe that wakes up a little bit. What's it doing this morning? Pony. Is it going to pony up? It's flattish. Yeah, it looks all right. It's okay. SBET, the co-founder, actually Ethereum, is the guy running SBET, largest Ethereum treasury. Interesting. Any thoughts on you? Somebody is asking me. You had a big move. There are guys in my spaces that love you. They think that this is more than just an Apple play. Hanging here, this looks pretty good. Last time I was looking at this, it was right here. So again, as everybody keeps asking me, when are we going to put a short-term top in? The more I keep going through all these charts, the more I still see setups where I'm like, why is everyone looking for a top instead of setups? Because setups continue to happen. All right, so China, although I don't want to get caught with too many positions, in midsummer where I should be in Matocar at the beach, there's still a lot of things going on. Oh, Stefano says, what about JP Morgan? Well, JP Morgan is always noisy after earnings. It usually takes a few days for the dust to settle, and then it usually goes up again. So I would just put that on the back burner. It's not the end of the world. But as of right now, if I were looking at this chart, I would say, hey, they sold strength. It's had a major move. This is a little bit of a topping tail. I would just let it settle out a little bit. It's not going to be a focus. Look at this move it's had. It needs time. So at this point, you do have a little bit of a little ascending wedge with the red dog reversal top. I would say give it space. Just it had a big move. It's not going to be where the action is. But anyway, holy shit, honey iced tea at 654. PPI is at 830. Again, just because you have one day where they sell some strength to keep the active bulls honest, that doesn't mean the active bears have the ball. It means they have a day one. Now we see, do we rebuild and hold here and digest and go, or do we get continuation below this area to see more corrective phase? We don't know. At this point, though, I'm going to be on my toes and look for setups and try and continue to maneuver. As of yesterday, I was at the highs of my year again. Had a great second quarter. Most people in power plays are doing fantastic. People on the Alpha team, but this is like my type of market. When you're trending for 2-3 months, because I'm up so early, because I'm getting situated, I'm finding the setups and we're moving around. We're using our tier system. We're staying with trades. We're adding to trades. We're doing a lot of good stuff. But my day doesn't start here. It starts at 4:45 in the morning doing prep and then getting in the sauna, sweating it out, and hanging out with my dogs. And then on the weekends, we do our whiteboard weekends. We're out feeding the brain, so this way we don't let our highs get too high, our lows get too low, and we play it out. Oklo. I still like this group. Not the end of the world that it was down yesterday. You had a big candle. As long as it holds this area, it still looks in play. I like to take options with this. It's a little easier than the actual trade, but all in all, I made my year last year with this here and here. I haven't been as active in it now. I just, there's been other things that I feel like have been easier, but this seems okay too. All right, guys, 6:56. I got to jump. Get ready for the PPI. We'll see how it goes. Do the sellers have any power, or was yesterday it? Again, you could have less things on. You don't have to be overly stretched. Be a little bit more specific. You could have low gross, low net too, if you want. What does that mean? Low gross, low net means you're not looking to make a lot, but you're not going to lose a lot. You're going to protect your money and be a little bit more in control. Control is good. Control what you control, my dog. So this way you can be ready for what you can't. You guys want to listen to a little of this? Okay.
But tomorrow's another day. Yeah.
Tomorrow's another day.
Where you going?